And welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Well, the weekend's here. I know it's not the same as we usually are. We'd be talking about some basketball and everything else going on right now, but nonetheless, listen, hope everybody's safe out there. I know, Coach, the same was you as well. First things first, though, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, but I would not be talking about any basketball, I'm afraid, whatever the conditions.
Well, yeah, I know you wouldn't, Coach. I'm just saying, in particular, March Madness,
I'm
people be
kidding.
getting ready. No,
I'm
I know,
kidding.
Coach. Look, Coach. The gracious thing of all this, and we have to look at the bright parts. Look, everything going on right now being canceled. NFL has done us, done us a great favor here because the free agency and everything going on, the big news. If anything, you want to thank Tom Brady just for holding out and giving us something to talk about now. And it's been a blessing, absolutely, in times like this, Coach.
Well, that's true. There's been quite a bit more, I guess you would say. Certainly, the Tom Brady news is one of the biggest news events in NFL history, really. But there's always something going on in football. When you stop and think about it, from college to pro, and it's always going. This year, certainly with the XFL, had they been allowed to play out their season, that would have been quite interesting right through the championship game, which would have basically put us into training camps. So anyway, there's a lot going on, and we got a lot to talk about today. And there's some interesting things too that we maybe can shed a little light on, and also raise some questions for people to think about.
Yeah, Coach. Okay, there's so much going on right now. I want to start with some of the biggest news. Not even 24 hours, Coach, after he was released from the Los Angeles Rams, it seems Todd Gurley has signed a deal right now with the Atlanta Falcons, which just continues. I mean, the NFC South is something special right now. It's gone from kind of bottom tier to now. I can't see a division that is any better and loaded than they are right now. Coach, when you look at this, the questions about his knee, we talked about this yesterday. It led the Rams to move on. Now, they got over $20 million of dead money sitting there, and they had to pay out $7.5 million roster bonus as well. When you look at this Coach, I ask you my first question before we get more into this. When you see $20 million in dead money there for a team, why let a guy go if you're going to have that dead money and you're not going to have anything there for it?
Well, they've probably saved some money in the long run. Okay, so dead money is not the only money that would have been required had he been a part of their football team. But this is interesting because he has been injured, so there's a tremendous red flag up on him, especially a back with a leg injury like his, and with his limited play, they was very obvious they limited his play last year. But look at it this way: the guy was a very popular player, All American at the University of Georgia, about 50 miles from the Atlanta Dome there. So that's going to be he's going to be a hometown favorite coming back. I'm sure they know that they're going to have to. What's the popular term now they're using? Load manage. I don't. I've never heard that before this year, but I guess they're going to have to watch how much they do play him in certain situations. But he's also well versed as a receiver, and don't forget, that's a big plus when you can get him out of the backfield or put him in the slot. I think he's a big, tall guy who's got good receiver skills. You could put him in the slot, and he can hurt people because of how they would have to cover him and who they'd have to cover him with. So there's some things they can do with him, but they're going to have to be very careful and selective about it.
Yeah, Coach, look, when you look at for the Falcons, this is a good move on their part just because you're not having to pay the Well, as much outright money as you thought here. And listen, we know the Falcons need some help. And we're watching them last year. I think their defense needs a ton of help. The offense is something where they just released or they cut Devonta Freeman. So pairing Gurley with Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, and then even the young back Ito Smith, who did a pretty good job last year. The young man out of Southern Miss. This is a guy. Listen, Coach, I think with Gurley, when you talk about the Falcons, they had to make a move of some sort to try to revamp that offense with letting Freeman go here, and I think this is an upgrade. I'm not sure your opinion, Coach, from a Devonta Freeman to a Todd Gurley, because I think the difference is Devonta Freeman could catch the ball out of the backfield too. So when you bring in a guy like Gurley, he meets everything you need. Now it's just down to can he stay healthy.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. If we knew what they do, and that is the big thing. If we knew what they do, and I would suspect that they have some doubts, either by virtue of the fact that he's lost some skills. I'm talking about Devontae Freeman, or he's lost a step here or there, or for other reasons, either outside the locker room or outside the organization. There's some problems, or for whatever reason, maybe he's got an injury, a hidden injury that they can't, they don't feel that he can be a full time back, or they use him as much as they did in the past. But I've always liked him. I thought he was quick, good speed, elusive back, and was really the type guy you're looking for. But there's something there that we don't know, that they got rid of Devontae Freeman. So we have to defer to the Atlanta Falcons on that deal. And then some would ask, and I can assure you that many have asked, how could you bring in a back and sign him who couldn't play anymore last year, couldn't go back to his normal routine of being a starting back last year for the Rams, and had to play part time, and especially with a knee injury. That would be a big question mark with a lot of people. But here again, you got to defer to Atlanta. Their medical staff, for sure, their medical staff has looked at him and didn't feel that he was as much of a risk as maybe some other people did. He has had some healing time now. He was not re-injured last year. He still seems to be quick. He certainly hasn't lost any of his uh, natural skills, like receiver skills, which are many, and very important. So when you put all that together, uh, we don't know what they know, and just got to defer to them. Now, if it is a switch where there was something wrong with Devontae Freeman, something they didn't like, and then they feel good about bringing Curley in, it's a heck of a good trade. It's a heck of a good deal for them. If they've made a mistake there, we'll know pretty quick.
Yeah, we definitely will, and that's the thing with Gurley is look, everybody loves Gurley. Of course, last year, Coach, it was his production wise his worst year, even though he averaged 4.2 yards a carry, which is pretty good. I mean, it's nothing to scoff at for a guy like that. But Coach, I want to talk about the other big news today. Well, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans can finally breathe. I think that's the biggest thing here. People were wondering, well, why isn't the deal gone through yet? And, well, it's because times are tough right now. You can't go to the NFL facilities. The Tampa Bay Bucks had to find a doctor that they both agreed on to get this physical done. Well, now Tom Brady, of course, posting it today on social media. 2-year, $50 million guaranteed with $9 million in incentives. And also the deal prevents the team from trading him or tagging him. Coach, a lot of people go, well, only $50 million, but that $50 million is guaranteed. I think that was kind of where they met in the middle on this.
Well, I think Brady's it's never been about the money. Brady could have held anybody up for the biggest contract in football. Period. There's no question about that. But why would he do that when what he really wants to do at his age, he doesn't need the money, and what he really wants to do at his age is he's one of the best competitors ever. Is he wants to win another Super Bowl. He wants to be in the hunt for another Super Bowl and have another chance at it. Now, for whatever reasons, and it looks like he's made a pretty good decision there with with Tampa. You know, I hear through the grapevine too that there's some other things that are kind of interesting about this. I always felt that in the background, and I've made this public, that I felt Dallas might be a big surprise entry into the Brady sweepstakes. I'm just wondering. I have reason to wonder on this if maybe he didn't feel that he and Mike McCarthy would be a good fit. Um, but so anyway, because when you're putting things together on how where would I have the best chance to go win, go get to a Super Bowl and win it. But listen, those receivers and the expectations that are going forward with all their receivers and skill people offensively, he is he is really in a talent rich uh, situation now, and he's going to make. Keep in mind, he's going to make their offensive line better. He's going to make their defense better, and you really have to look at how their defense played those last 6 or 7, 8 ball games last year. Their defense played well, really well. They came on, which is a strong sign, regardless of who the quarterback was going to be. But when you add Brady into the mix, you just became that much better. So I think the sky's the limit here. And it's going to be a very interesting year with him at Tampa.
Yeah, coach, as we were speaking right there, the report came in that Tampa Bay has now signed Joe Haig, the versatile offensive lineman there, a guy that's played both guard and tackle for Indianapolis, started his first 35 games and for Indy there. And this is a guy they're saying, listen, he's not that big name that everybody's looking for. Of course, you know that people are wanting to go now. People are reaching out to Tampa to go play for them. And the fun part of all this for Tampa is they have some money to play with. But a guy like Joe Haig, this is a guy that you've got to start. You've got the big name pieces. You've got to fill in everything else here. So a guy that can play both guard and tackle. How important is that when you talk about the
Oh,
versatility?
it's very important. Now, especially with an offensive lineman to have that experience of having played and having played on the highest level. That is worth a ton right there. And I suspect that they're going to have access to a little more firepower up there. You know this draft is oddly enough a offensive tackle rich draft, considered that by everybody I've talked to. Uh, Also, receivers they don't need receivers, but they may end up with a tackle. Uh, there could be some excellent defensive additions to their football team, which would help to get them the ball back in Brady's hands, and maybe even a turnover here or there, which would be huge. So think about that. You know that the improvement, a lot of improvement is still ahead, and you're right about other players wanting to come there and play, and I don't blame them. If you want a chance to win a Super Bowl, you look at the situation right now, and you say, "Gosh, if there's an opening up place that I'd like to go play right now, a place that's on the up and coming, it's Tampa. So let me see if I can get there." And that's going to happen. That's going to happen in more ways than you know.
Yeah, coach. Just looking at it, the mock draft, of course, in all this and everything that's happened for Tampa, they still pick in the first round, the 14th pick of the draft, and right now the projection is they're going to get Jedrick Wills, the offensive lineman out of Alabama, 6'4", 312, just because of his versatility. And they said that also he is a plug-and-play guy at right tackle. So here you go, Tampa. They understand what they have, and coach, it just seems like Tampa's in win now mode right now.
Yeah, they are, well, they're certainly doing everything they can to put a tremendous football team together. They had some of the makings of that football team. Now they're putting the pieces together, and not just pieces. These are huge opportunities for that football team with a guy like Brady. You know, Brady makes such a difference in any football team, but especially Tampa with the way they're positioned right now. and he'll make a tremendous amount of difference. And he's also, according to people who know them both, say that he'll get along fine. He and the head coach will get along fine, and uh, so that'll be another plus. They may be looking at him as in the right way that hey, we're going to put our offensive coordinator on the field playing, and that's what they will be doing.
Well, Coach, I want to swap over to just some college news real quick before we go to break here, of course. Well, the big thing here with the coronavirus, of course, everything's basically been shut down. Athletes are, well, they're away from their facilities and things like this. When you talk about it, spring practice has been not completely canceled yet. It's been postponed at this point. Greg Sankey's made some comments about that. We'll talk a little bit later in the show. Coach, one big thing we see here, this is something that's kind of gone under the radar, is, well, the transfer portal. The transfer portal is, for those people may not know, is you can back out and go and want to transfer somewhere else, and if another team calls, you can go over there. Coach, when you look at this, does this coronavirus hinder the transfers and the transfer portal here, and does it make it, just from what we know right now, until things happen, basically, are we at a standstill until they get the okay to go back, because guys can't visit, guys can't do anything?
Yeah, it certainly looks that way, and I think that would be expected. Right now, with the lack of travel, you don't think about that. But how can you make deals when travel is limited right now? In fact, there is none. So I don't have any question about that. Everything's going to be curtailed to a great extent.
Well, Coach, listen, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the NFL teams putting coronavirus clauses in deals now, and we're going to talk a little mock draft after so much free agency going on with Tom Brady moving. Just everybody. It's a whirlwind at this point, and now they're slowly starting to update mock drafts. We're going to have that in Ben Roethlisberger. We're going to talk a little bit about him coming up for next year. All that and more here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
I returned from combat duty in a wheelchair, but it turns out many apartment buildings can't accommodate me. I fought for freedom and thought I'd be free to choose where I live.
After the phone interview, we assumed the apartment was ours.
But when we showed up, the manager said no longer available. The only way to stop housing discrimination is to report it. Visit HUD.gov/fairhousing or call 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
His football career started as a quarterback at Pensacola High. It culminated as the coach of the Buffalo Bills. Now, Coach K. Stevenson talks football every day at noon on Talk Football with Coach K.
Kareem Hunt got pulled over last week for speeding.
This guy's been in trouble over and over and over again. Now, if they get him out of this, he will get in trouble again.
Noon to 1, weekdays on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach K. Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Well, the weekend's almost here, and it's a weekend unlike, well, maybe any of us have ever had. But at this point, we're talking some football with you, and there is plenty to talk about, Coach. I want to start with
one thing. Let me interrupt here. One thing I want to get to before we get too far away from NFL news, and it's to start a little controversy and conspiracy. But what's going on in Cincinnati? It's very, very, very interesting. I will continue here. I just heard that from a very good source that Cincinnati was approached by a team or two teams asking for a trade on their quarterback, seeking a trade for their quarterback.
Joe Burrow.
No. Their quarterback. Mind freeze here. Their quarterback there, Cincinnati Bengals. A little redhead.
Oh, Andy Dalton.
Texas.
Okay, yes, sir.
Andy Dalton. Okay. Cincinnati refused the trade request, saying that he's not. We're not trading him. Or basically, that's the information they got, the response they got. Now, that there are a number of things you can start thinking about. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that they may not be drafting? They may not be thinking about drafting Joe Burrow, which I think would be one of the biggest mistakes ever in the history of any football team. That area would completely boycott the Bengals if they don't draft him. But could it mean that? Could it mean they want to draft someone else? Could it mean that they've got a huge deal coming at them with, say, Miami? Look at Miami sitting there with all those ones, three number ones and the twos. Could they be looking at a tremendous windfall from Miami, which would give a team like Cincinnati some much-needed help, talent-wise, in many positions? And then that would put them in the fifth. Let's say that puts them in the fifth with the fifth pick, and they would be perfectly content if someone else moved up to get Burrow. They would be perfectly content to take, if Tua's there, Tua or Justin Herbert. And I'm just throwing these out as possibilities. We don't know. We do know that they have refused to trade the quarterback. So now it's on to the draft, and whether they make a deal with another team for draft picks and move out of there, whether they draft as everybody thinks they're going to Joe Burrow. But anyway, very interesting situation.
Yeah, Coach. And I've heard rumors as well that Miami, talking about trading up to get Joe Burrow at number one. And like you said, look, there's so much going on here. Of course, you have the sources there that you're very close with, and there's a lot. These are, for the people out there, these are not the articles, Coach knows just about everybody out there. So when you say you have a source, it's a legitimate source. So that's the thing. Listen, talking about this, Coach, that's a good question. I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but this is perfect. When you talk about Miami right now and having all these draft picks, we know that they have to rebuild. We understand that, but it starts at the quarterback position. And right now, they don't have to get a guy necessarily to start day one because they have Ryan Fitzpatrick. But at the same time, if you can get a guy like Joe Burrow and groom him, for Cincinnati, if you can get Joe Burrow right now, this is a guy that when you look, they have Ryan Finley, and if they do keep Andy Dalton, which, Coach, when I look at this, I mean, get your opinion on this. I would like to keep Andy Dalton if I'm Cincinnati. I know that Andy Dalton may not like that because he probably wants to go play somewhere else, but at the same time, it keeps a veteran around to get a guy like Joe Burrow almost just get him ready. That way, maybe you don't have to start him day one. Maybe Joe Burrow's not ready to start day one here. Coach, what do you say in that for Cincinnati? If you're Cincinnati here, do you keep Andy Dalton and draft Joe Burrow, or do you go ahead and get rid of Andy Dalton because there may be some animosity between them?
Well, here's the way I look at it up there. This is a very unique situation with Burrow. Whoever drafts Burrow, I think he's probably going to come in and play right away, day one. Now, if they could keep Andy Dalton and draft Joe Burrow, and Joe sit there for at least a number of games behind Andy Dalton, I think that would be a very, very advantageous situation for everybody concerned. But I don't see that happening, and here's why. I don't think Andy Dalton's a heck of a competitor, as I understand it, and I don't see him buying that arrangement. So then you're going to have some problems with a guy who's been around there a long time and has been a big part of the Cincinnati family. So what do you do then? Do you cut him? Do you trade him? His value's not going to be nearly as much at that point. But I don't know. I just don't see it as being a real first-class arrangement for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree there. I think it's going to be tough because, Coach, I think one thing is Andy Dalton's not getting enough credit for being a good enough quarterback. Like this guy, we have to remember, this guy has been in Cincinnati for so long, and Cincinnati has not exactly built him or put success around him. I thought Andy Dalton has done a good job. I know he gets a bad rep, and listen, I mean, this guy I think can go win you some ball games. It would not surprise me if he goes to a team like a New England or somebody and he can go get them to a point. Not saying by himself, obviously, but I don't think he's an elite quarterback, of course, but a guy that can get you to 10 wins, especially in a system like that. That's where I think Andy Dalton, and this is just personal opinion of not reading articles or anything, just knowing Andy Dalton and watching him play for so many years, I believe he'd be a good fit with Bill Belichick in that system because both of those guys are elite competitors. I'm not saying Andy Dalton is an elite quarterback. They're elite competitors, and that means a lot.
I agree with you totally. I think, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. What might New England do? And he would be one of the A1 options, I think, for New England, along with the two that I would say right off the bat. If New England could get either Andy Dalton or draft Braun from Georgia. Those two are a lot alike. Great competitors. They fit the Belichick mold. Great workers, hard workers. They've great competitors. They really fit the mold, both of them. So I think that would be a win-win situation. I agree with you,
Coach. When we look at this, of course, the mock drafts changing. And we'll go ahead and get into this while we're on this subject here. A lot of the mock drafts actually have Miami now trading up to that number one spot. We'll see if that happens. Now, the one thing with Miami, Coach, is we know they have all the draft picks to do this. And look, if they throw enough out there, if they really believe Joe Burrow's that guy and they can go get him, well, it wouldn't be a bad move for either team here, depending on what you get back. But, Coach, right now, the other thing that we were hearing for so long with the Washington Redskins, oh, well, Tua. Well, now that's kind of cooled down a little bit. Now, Chase Young is a guy, we've talked about this before. That's one thing that it seems it's popped back here. Now, a lot of teams, believe it or not, have eased off of Tua because here's the other thing. the Dolphins actually tried to get Tua in before they closed the NFL facilities, and they could not. He could not get in there, but they did get guys like Jordan Love in, and look, it's going to be interesting. So, Coach, my question to you on this: when you look at that, being able to bring a guy in, and I know you've watched, people have watched film, and all, the coaches are doing their due diligence and all this stuff, but being able to bring a guy into your facility, would that hinder you at any point in the draft here?
Yeah, well, especially the quarterback position. You would love to. You got to get him, especially a guy like Tua. You've got to have all of your medical team check him out. Now, how do you do that? You do it at the combine with part of your medical team, but then to get everybody involved in it, you bring them into. You would bring him into your city, where your whole medical team could do the full evaluation on him, utilizing all of their equipment and what they're comfortable with, and also having a chance to talk about it and talk through some issues that they may have had a question about. So, yeah, with something like that, I mean, think about it. If you're in a situation where you might take him, you are certainly, him above all people, you are certainly going to have your medical team say to you, JP, he's fine. We back him 100%. He's ready to go day one and play. Go get him. Now, if they don't say that, or they've got the red flags and they're still hesitant about it, and he's had 3 injuries that have taken him out of play, you got to be cautious. You got to be very, very cautious. That's why I said there are 32 teams. I would venture to guess that 16 out of the 32 have some questions about Tua. I personally would hope that he's well and can go, because I think he's an outstanding quarterback and will do a heck of a job for somebody if he's well.
Yeah, that's the thing with Tua. This is a bad situation for Tua, just because, look, he got medically cleared earlier this month and was going to have his pro day April 9th. And now, of course, that's canceled. And it seems like we're not going to be able to get out there and be able to, the teams aren't going to be able to travel and see him before the draft. So this here, it becomes an even bigger risk, like you were talking about, Coach, and instead of being able to bring that guy in, where if the Dolphins could have brought him in before the facilities closed, and look, nobody knew this was going to happen. That's the difference in all this. So, for people that are like, well, they should have got ahead of the game, well, nobody had a clue. This hit everybody like a whirlwind, so we have to remember that. But it stinks because, hey, somebody, Coach, this could be go one or two ways. Either you could get a bargain because somebody doesn't pick Tua and he drops a little bit just because of the uncertainty, and then he is healthy, and then he could be your quarterback for 10 years, or you could draft him on a whim hoping that everything works out, not really sure because you haven't truly seen him throw the football since he's been cleared, and things kind of go south for you. It's going to be interesting. Of course, in the mock draft, this is a couple of them. I'm going kind of off the average here. Like I said, the Dolphins trading up to get the number 1 pick there, and actually has the Chargers trading to get the 3rd pick, trading up to get the 3rd pick to get Tua, and then it has the Bengals taking Justin Herbert. Now these are all, of course, Coach, you know this better than anybody else, a bunch of hearsay. It's almost entertainment for us. These are things that could happen, though, because it goes back to Miami. That is a reality due to all the.
Listen, that just adds a little smoke to what I was just talking about. There's quite a bit of smoke there. How would Miami end up with Joe Burrow other than to get that trade done with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati then end up with Justin Herbert? That would have to be the scenario right there that you just gave, and then that could very well happen. Very well happen. Now, one thing you got to look at, and you're right about the inability to get a proper evaluation of Tua before the draft, but you can't. The good thing, one good thing about it, is that given the circumstances, you have Nick Saban at the University of Alabama. Tua is right there at the university, so at Tuscaloosa. So they could get him over there in their facility, and put him through whatever test they were going to do on pro day, which would include quite a bit, I'm sure. And of course, they're filming everything, probably both ways, side and behind. And then also they could have the medical testing done if they preferred, if doctors preferred. They could probably do it at UAB if they preferred that, a more advanced medical facility in Birmingham. But I would think they would have capability right there in Tuscaloosa of giving what would be a pretty thorough physical exam and let people tune in electronically and ask questions if they had questions of the doctors there in Tuscaloosa. Now that's just my thinking, but they're going to do whatever they can. So Saban would do whatever he could to accommodate the different teams because he knows how important it is, and they're fortunate to have that situation with him. I think they could do that if it comes right down to it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, Coach. I haven't thought about that. That look, you have to think there's going to be some way here that they're going to find a way to make this work. You're going to have to go through some loopholes and whatever you may have to do here, but it is what it is at this point. And when you're talking about a guy like Tua, you know that they're going to go above and beyond. One thing I want to talk about, Coach, this is interesting. Now, some people are for this, some people are against this. NFL teams put coronavirus clauses in the deals. Clubs are permitted to condition a free agent's eligibility to receive and retain bonuses or an injury guarantee upon the player being given and passing a physical examination by the club's medical doctor when travel restrictions are lifted. If a player, for example, signs a $30 million, 3-year, $30 million contract with a $10 million signing bonus this week, but fails a physical in June, he could lose the $10 million and be bound to a 3-year, $20 million deal potentially. Coach, when you talk about this is a lot of people are like, well, that's not fair. Well, it's about staying in shape and staying healthy. I mean, this comes back to, I get it with all the virus and everything like this, but this is still a business for the NFL. Do you agree or disagree with this?
Well, I think you got to pass the physical to get paid any money. If you can't play, if you fail the physical and they can't put you on the field to play, why should they owe you anything? That's the problem. Not just the bonus, but any other 3 years at 30 million. Oh, wow. No, I don't think they should be held to anything. Now, if they've got to sign somebody, they may have a contingency for all of it, but there again, that would depend on the team and the player.
Yeah, it's going to be – look, here's the thing, Coach. It's like you said, you got to pass a physical. These guys are being paid so many millions of dollars. And listen, this is to stay healthy. I mean, you don't sign a guy that is not healthy and doesn't pass a physical. Even work. If you go to a general job where you've had to have a physical before, if you don't pass the physical, they don't hire you. It's just a part of the deal here. For people blowing this out of proportion, saying, well, that's not fair just because of the coronavirus going, well, if you're not going to be able to play or you're not at your best, well, you shouldn't be able to get that kind of money. You're hindering for somebody else. But, well, Coach, that's for
I don't really understand what the coronavirus has to do with it. There's no indication that there is a residual illness or infirmity that a person is left with if they have the coronavirus, and I don't understand what that has to do with it, other than the fact that if they're saying, well, he can't travel to a place to get a physical. That's very, very simple. We just put everything off until we can give you a physical.
Right, you're absolutely right, and that's the difference here, coaches. But that's where we have to step back and understand the clause in all this. This is not saying, well, the guy, because who knows? Anybody could get the coronavirus at this point. The tests are saying we're not going to, get into anything or politics-wise or whatever. But it's the facts are simply so that unless you have some pre-existing conditions right now, that you get some flu symptoms or some cold symptoms and you move on and everybody's fine. Listen, Sean Payton has it, and he just came out and said, look, I'm doing okay. I didn't have some of the severe symptoms like some people did. I'm going to be fine. I've got to quarantine through the weekend, unfortunately, but I'll be back. I'm fine. We've seen NBA players and all these other people. It's going to be fine. I agree, Coach. This is more the coronavirus part. When people see this, they say they put a coronavirus clause. That's not fair. That's simply because of the travel being limited right now. Look, Tom Brady in Tampa, it took them some days to get some stuff done because they had to go find a doctor, and they found one that they agreed on in New York. So we just calm down, everybody. It's going to be okay. I know we're all looking for something to be mad at now, but Coach, listen, we're up against a break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about Ben Roethlisberger in the news, saying he feels great and will come back strong this year, and some drama right now in Detroit. All that and more here on Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Well, I finally improved my credit score.
What? The band is about to be discovered. Rock gods don't need to worry about credit scores. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, make ridiculous on-tour requests, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
Yeah, I'm not banking my retirement on a band that's never left your garage.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
JP here at ESPN Pensacola. We are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to. Big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon up against the weekend now. Coach, look, I know we've got so much going on. Something else that has come up today as well, Ben Roethlisberger, of course, saying he feels great. Look, this is something interesting here. Ben missed all but 2 games last year due to an elbow injury that required surgery. Now, he's come out and he's said, I have no doubts I'm going to be able to come back and play well. I have complete confidence in that. I'm throwing without pain for the first time in years. Some games I would have some pain. Some games I would have a lot of pain. But in the New England and Seattle game last season, it got to be too much. To be able to throw without pain now, it's a nice feeling. I know I'm not getting any younger, but I feel younger because I have no pain now. Coach, when you talk about this, look, Ben has said he's throwing 40 passes a day, about 20 yards, and he's going to slowly ramp up. This is a guy in Big Ben that he's been, you talk about an ultimate competitor. Well, that's an ultimate competitor for him, but we know he's not getting any younger here. We've seen, of course, last year when he went out, the Steelers didn't have a bad team. They just struggled at the quarterback position. Coach, when you look at Big Ben here, this is a situation, and I want to get your opinion on this. Seeing quarterbacks go through so many injuries and things like that with Big Ben and his style, he's not exactly a guy that can get away. He absorbs hits more than tries to prevent them almost. And look, this is something that do Steelers fans and do the Steelers organization need to look past Ben Roethlisberger? Does this seem like maybe a year thing here? Do we believe that Big Ben can play for 2 or 3 more years? And what say about the quarterback situation overall for the Steelers?
That's an interesting question. For years now, I say, meaning certainly the last couple of years, he has hinted about retirement, which leads you to believe that he's thought very, very seriously about it, or he wouldn't have said anything publicly. So I think, maybe you can look at him playing another couple of years, this year and another year. I wouldn't count on him too much beyond that. I think he's been injured so many times. Of course, he's big, he's strong, and he takes so many hits and they bounce off, but at the same time, he's taking a lot of hits. Yeah, I would say 2 years. One thing about Roethlisberger and how he might help, he's going to help their football team, no doubt. But 90% of what he does to get production is made up with broken plays. He either lets 2 or 3 hit him and they bounce off, and receivers adjust routes and start running to assigned. They are assigned. They're called scramble breaks or scramble adjustments, and they run short, runs deep, deep runs short, and you run back toward the quarterback so he can throw you the football. They know they do that well at Pittsburgh, and so many plays he gets off broken scramble or having to move, but he's a master of it. And I can't imagine him. He's always had a big arm. I can't imagine him not having at least an adequate arm. But we'll see. He hasn't thrown deep yet, but we'll certainly see it in the very near future.
Yeah, when you got guys like Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges back there, we saw last year what happened with that, and they're good guys. Like, I like Duck Hodges a lot, the kid out of Sanford. He did a good job for what he was given at that time. This is a guy that was not ready to play, but it's an interesting thing, Coach. When we talk about the Steelers here, this is a franchise, and Coach, that those Steelers fans are some of the most hardcore, dedicated people that you just don't want to mess with. It's called the Steel City for a reason, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. You hope Ben Roethlisberger is healthy, because we always hope to see guys that are that caliber be healthy and play at their highest level, because it just makes everything so much better. But it's going to be interesting to see what plays out for them. And, Coach, I want to talk about something else here. A former Patriot and Matt Patricia. Now, we know that they just let Darius Slay go. Well, Darius Slay was a good cornerback for him, and the reports are coming out now. Of course, this seems to happen for some of these guys. The first one-on-one meeting with Matt Patricia after Slay had returned from working out with Richard Sherman, Aqib Talib, and Xavier Rhodes, he said that this is once, Slay had just come off his first Pro Bowl appearance. Well, he said in meeting with Patricia, he said he wasn't elite. And Slay said, well, excuse me. And he said, well, you're not an elite corner yet. And this is a guy that would come off an all-pro year with 8 picks, Coach. When you hear stuff like this, I'm not going to go into it, because to me, this is something that, well, I don't know. For people that are like, well, he waited until he was gone. Well, I'm not buying all that here. But, Coach, when you look at this, there are reports of guys saying that Matt Patricia maybe was in over his head here in Detroit. My question, when you look at this, the Lions have a lot of problems. They've been a team that hasn't been very good for a while. They have a good quarterback in Matt Stafford. They have some good pieces there. When you look at this, is this more of a player problem in Detroit, or is this a coaching problem with Matt Patricia right now?
I think anytime you have problems and you're not winning as you should, whatever, it's a combination of things. It's never any one thing that you can point to. I can't imagine. I've never known any situation where just one adjustment would have made the difference. It's usually a combination of things. Now, Patricia was a long-time assistant coach that came up through the ranks as nobody would have been able to before. He's not really an innate football person, and as I would like to think of football. He doesn't have football instincts from the standpoint of having played, meaning also being around people that have played. I would see just what I've seen of him. I could see where he may have, a little trouble with a couple of players, 2 or 3 or more, with his personality. But he seems to want to be the genius on the field, directing a football team as the head coach. And I can see where maybe there's some potential problem right there. That's but usually it's a combination. When you're having problems overall as a team, it's because of players, coaching, and even outside influences.
Well, Coach, this is once again we talk about this. This news is changing as we speak. Reports just came in that Melvin Gordon and the Broncos agreed to a 2-year, $16 million contract. Coach, and Melvin Gordon, this is a guy that, remember, he held out last year with the Chargers looking for more money. And here we are now. He still has not got a deal that was more than what the Chargers offered him last year, and that seems to be how things are going right now. His deal does include $13.5 million guaranteed. But listen, Coach, this is a team. I want to bring this up before we go to break. Denver Broncos, they released Joe Flacco yesterday. We saw Drew Lock. We like Drew Lock. We don't know what he can truly be because we haven't seen enough of him yet. This is a team that's got Drew Lock at quarterback. They got Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, 2 good backs. They've got some wide receivers there that are pretty good. We know how good their defense is. Their defense has been good for quite a while. Coach, adding Melvin Gordon here adds some more depth, and this is going to be interesting for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they've lost too much, to be honest with you, to be overly competitive. They'll be a good football team. They got still got a good defense, which gives them a chance. But I think it's going to be tough for them, to be honest with you, JP.
Yeah, I agree. I think that division is tough enough already. But listen, we're up against a break here. When we come back, Coach, we're going to talk about Commissioner Sankey for the SEC coming out and being optimistic about the college football season upcoming. And he said spring games may be canceled, but spring practice doesn't necessarily have to be. All that and more here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
First Take, your take.
with Jason Fitz.
Remember, it's not that long ago the 76ers over-exceeded expectations in the playoffs, right? So suddenly it became they are the future and the future is now. Trust the process became this thing that works. Now they've hit a wall. And it's staggering to me to hear Embiid talk about he doesn't know if he's getting the ball. And Horford to say, we've got issues in the locker room, but we'll keep that private. Guess what? You just made them public.
1 to 2 weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Go! Dilly dilly!
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon up against the weekend here, Coach. And when we look at this, I want to talk some SEC real quick. Now, I know we only have a couple minutes here. Commissioner Greg Sankey coming out and said, listen, spring football games are canceled, but that doesn't mean spring practice has to be. He goes, that doesn't mean now. April 16th is when they said they would come back, and people are thinking, well, there's no way they're going to come back. And Greg said, listen, everybody pump the brakes. That's our reevaluation date. Look, this doesn't mean we're going to be back to normal. Doesn't mean we're going to be back to practice activities. It's when we're going to get everybody back together and try to emulate a plan here to see how things have panned out so far. That's still weeks away, of course. And, Coach, when we said, look, it was just a date, we have to remember that. He's hopeful that regular season football and all fall sports, for that matter, will begin as scheduled. He said, that's my focus. I'm a glass-half-full perspective person, so I have optimism. Now, the spring meetings are scheduled, of course, in May, late May in Destin, Florida down here. Everybody knows that. And media days are held in, mid-July in Atlanta. He said that's a period on the end of the sentence at that point. Coach, when you hear Greg Sankey coming out saying this here, it's almost kind of optimism for the season upcoming, but that's something we've talked about with how do you replace these guys? Got to have spring practice. You've got freshmen coming in. They need some time here. So if you're an SEC fan, Coach, at least you got a little bit of optimism there.
Yeah, I think he's right that there's some way that you can at least get instruction with your younger people coming in and your older people as well. They don't they're not excused. But there's a way to get some form of spring training. Again, I think we mentioned yesterday, you could go through a very similar practice type schedule, just make it thud tempo, no full speed hitting, and get a lot done. You get a lot done with that. That's what they're going to have to do, and I see that happening. How late can most of them can go even later than that if they have to. I don't think there's a magic April 9th date on it. It's good to think that might be the case, and I think it will probably be okay for some, but it doesn't necessarily have to be for everybody.
Yeah, it's a good point, Coach. And just when we think about this, anything now that we can look at with optimism, we don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is do our part, and that's one thing we've been reiterating in all this is do your part. Take care of your business here. If you're sick, do what you're supposed to do. Quarantine yourself, wash your hands, and respect people. And I think, you know what, if we do that, as much as we miss sports, maybe this will all pan out before we know it.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any question about it. Everybody just keep it up, listen to what they're saying, and let's get this done and beat this virus and get on with life.
Well, Coach, we ran out of time as usual, but it's been a pleasure, my friend.
You bet. Talk to you Monday.
Absolutely. Monday again. We'll be on at 12 o'clock as always. You've been listening to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola.
Every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN.